Hello and welcome to another edition of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France. I'm with Colin, as usual, from French Countryside Life. We get together as often as we can and we discuss anything that takes our fancy, really. And sometimes it's French related, sometimes it isn't. But we'll have a look today and see what we can come up with because there's a lot been happening in the news and especially globally, I guess. I mean, we can't not mention the fact that America's bombed Iran, I suppose, because that's quite a major thing. But also,
Mm.
there's some other information which might be quite interesting, especially in regards to solar panels, which I will talk about, and selling electricity back to the grid. Things are about to change, so that will be quite
Oh,
interesting.
really? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think I read about that actually. So, the obvious subject at the moment, and being as we're Brits abroad, we're going to talk about the hot weather.
Oh my God.
Which, typical British. When it's cold, we're moaning, and when it's hot, we're moaning.
Just generally moaning about the weather. I
Just
think that's
generally.
just, it's a national sport for us, I think.
Yeah.
But last week was particularly difficult at work, and all the guys at work. So uh, I work for a company that fits solar panels, but I don't do the installations. I don't go on the roof normally. Sometimes I help out, but normally I don't go on the roof. And I am so glad last week I don't do that because they're staring down the barrel of 38 degrees on a hot
Yeah.
metal roof. So what they've decided to do and what they've been doing all this week is starting at 5 a.m. So they start at
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Yeah.
and they still take their dinner at 12:30. So they
Right.
basically have their dinner, which is an hour, and then they just do bits around the workshop and then they go because it's too hot, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah. Funny enough,
genuinely is too hot.
Charlie's dog socialisation was starting at 9 instead of 10. So,
So just a quick question for you.
yep.
Last short on your channel that I watched was you hide in the car under the trees because you thought there was going to be hailstones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they said.
Did,
Meteo
did they
France.
did they arrive or not?
No, of course he didn't. No,
No, of course not.
no. I spent 20 minutes shutting all the shutters and putting the car under the tree, and nothing happened. But I'd rather that, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And for people who are watching this in the future, thinking of moving to like the south, well, you southwest of France, the hailstones can be enormous, and
Yeah,
the weather here is more extreme. Can you say extreme? I suppose.
yeah, I think so. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? You talk to someone in Kansas and you say it's a bit windy.
Or someone in Alaska, and you say, "Oh, it's a bit nippy. It's -5
Bit
today."
fresh. I remember
Fresh.
years ago, right, picking a guy up in the winter who flew in from Chicago. And, we're chatting on the way back into town. I said, yeah, it's been pretty freezing here. I said, it's down to -1 or 2. He said, when I left, he said it was -40 degrees. He lived on the shores of Lake Michigan.
Oh my
And
goodness.
the wind just blows in and just freezes everything.
So I remember one year, I think it was 2018 actually, my sister and my brother came from Australia and it was midsummer. So it was July, I think, and it was hot, like mid 30s every day,
Yeah,
and we were dying. And they were just walking around in like normal clothes, thinking, this is just like a normal day for us. It's no problem. And then we've got a group family text, and in the winter, they're complaining, saying there's a rumor it might get down to +5 tonight. And you're just thinking, okay.
yeah. I
What?
remember my mum going on holiday to Tunisia, and it was out of season. It was a cheap holiday, and she showed me the photos. So, she's standing there grinning at the camera, like, with all the camels and souk in the background. Everybody's walking around with bobble hats and scarves and coats on. And then
In
she's standing
Tunisia.
there.
Right.
So it's all relative.
It is all relative, and it's quite interesting that does it take you a while to acclimatize to the heat still? Because I think it does for me. After a few weeks of it being really hot, it doesn't seem to bother me as much.
Right.
Um, but the first few weeks of it are like,
Having a having a massive swimming pool takes the edge off.
yes, yes, I guess it probably would do. Yeah, I guess it would do. So the highest temperature I saw, yes, last week was 38. So,
Right. So I've got some information here from Connection France. So I'll just whiz through that if that's all right.
mm,
So the French weekend weather forecast, June 28th, 29th. Historic heat wave begins in the south. Temperatures close to 40 degrees centigrade are expected as 13 departments set for heightened heat wave alerts on Saturday. Three-quarters of the country, France obviously, will see temperatures of 30 degrees centigrade or more on Saturday, with some potentially seeing thermometers hit 40 degrees during the weekend.
yeah,
The third official heat wave of June will begin this weekend and is set to cover essentially all of France to the end of the month. Temperatures close to 40 degrees in the shade
yep,
are expected in the south, and humid, heavy heat will cover most of the country. Weather forecaster Lashan Meteo is calling the heat wave historic for its intensity so early in the summer. It is caused by incoming anticyclone winds from the Atlantic. Hate them.
yeah.
And then it goes on to go through the various departments that have got heightened orange alerts down on the Mediterranean. Yeah, the
Probably
2060 in
bottom half
Paris.
of France, I would think, wouldn't it?
Again?
Probably the bottom half of France.
Yeah, basically, yeah,
Mm.
basically. Yeah, so that was interesting. So there's also on Connection France a reader question. I saw my department had a warning for canicule. Is that how you say it? Canicule?
Yeah, well, why not?
Yeah, okay. Close but nosy goal. Is
Can
this different to a normal heat wave warning? So that's the question.
It's one of those words that I don't say
Is that because
because,
it's got a close
yeah,
scene?
because cool is your bum.
Okay.
Canicule, canicule. Unless you know exactly how to say it,
Yeah.
you're getting the word bum in there somewhere. So I just say,
I think it's worth saying it just for that, to be honest.
il fait chaud, il fait chaud.
So anyway, so the question was, is a canicule different to a normal heat wave warning? So the answer is official weather warnings issued by Meteo France are usually based on specific types of weather patterns, such as storms, floods, high winds, etc. These can come in yellow, orange, or red, the highest alert levels. However, there are different types of warnings for warm temperatures in the summer. The state forecaster warns of both vague de chaleur and canicule during the summer months, both of which are sometimes translated as heat wave in English. When either of these warning levels are raised, local and departmental authorities may also put into place emergency measures.
Mm.
A vague de chaleur warning is raised when temperatures are at least 3 degrees centigrade warmer than the monthly average for at least 3 days within a given area.
All right.
But it goes on. Yeah. In contrast, a canicule warning also requires temperatures to be warmer than the monthly average for at least 3 days. However, this includes nighttime temperatures also being significantly higher. Nighttime temperatures and daytime temperatures must pass certain thresholds depending where they are in the country. Goes on to give, and I've finished there. That's not far from you, is it?
It's miles away from me. It's of this. If I drove to Finisterre, I could drive to you.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't. I thought you was a bit further up than that. Okay. Because I finished says right on the coast, in the northern
Yeah,
coast.
northern coast now. So Brittany well, like all departments in France, you don't realize how big they are. I,
Yeah.
I am actually at the southernmost point, so I'm practically Pays de Loire. which,
Really?
as you know, actually goes further north.
Oh yeah, no, that's massive. Graham Butler from a French House Renovation. I always thought he was in Short Maritime because it's like west of us. It is literally west of us, and he's actually in the Vendée, which is part of the Pays de
Yeah.
Loire, which is ridiculous because we lived in the north of the Pays de Loire, right on the border between the Pays de Loire, it's so difficult to say, Pays de la Loire, um, with Normandy.
Yeah.
Massive.
So
Just,
it's very, very, for people who don't live in France, and even for me and you, and
yeah,
even people who do live in France, getting your head around where the counties are, or departments, is
yeah,
really complicated.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
not as defined. Well, I say defined. They are quite well defined, but in England they're much smaller. So you
yeah.
can,
Plus, as well as that, we've had, you know, X amount of years to get used to it, haven't we?
yeah, well, that's it. So I'm actually just between Rennes and Nantes. So um, in fact, Nantes, who's further south, and that's in Department 44, used to be part of Brittany. And Brittany was even bigger. And the capital of Brittany used to be Nantes.
Right?
And then it swapped to Rennes, and the department was made smaller. So Brittany is now smaller than it used to be. And there's still people, when I drive from my house here to my other house, I have to drive through the Pays de Loire and all the way past Nantes to the limit of what used to be the old Brittany. There's
Yeah,
still Brittany flags flying in the fields next to the autoroute. They
yeah,
feel cheated that they're no longer part of Brittany.
yeah,
So Brittany is regarded like, I suppose, like maybe like Wales.
yeah,
Uh, Scotland is maybe more of a country, I guess, but Wales is more sees themselves separate to the rest of England and Wales. Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Or maybe the better way to describe it is Yorkshire, probably something like that. Is an area, a large area, which sees itself apart from the rest of the and certain rules don't apply. For example, in Brittany, there's no tolls on the autoroutes, and
yeah. We talked about that before, didn't we? That's
yeah,
interesting.
so that's quite interesting. And when I asked my colleagues and stuff why that is, they just give the same answer, which is because we said no, because they
Yeah,
like to think of themselves differently. But that's well, like British people really. But yeah, there's no tolls on the autoroutes, and some other
mm,
stuff is different as well. But it's such a massive area, like the rest of them are. They're just huge, really,
mm.
really huge departments. So anyway, getting back to the temperature thing,
Well,
what are your,
actually, I just want to
oh, go on,
just
sorry, mate. Sorry. Going ahead.
just want to tell you something quickly. So, we had some visitors. I think it was last week. So, Daryl and Liz, lovely couple, really lovely. Um, as I was leaving, as they was leaving, Daryl took off his flip-flops and put a pair of trainers on. He said, "Oh, it's illegal to drive in flip-flops." I said, "Really?" I said, "I didn't know that." So, just the my go-to sort of reference library is Connection France, so you can pretty much find answers to everything. So, it's a reader question: can I drive barefoot in France? So they've said yes. Does not wearing shoes does not affect your control of the vehicle, but shoes must not be in the vehicle footwell. So it is worth noting that wearing flip-flops or open sandals while driving is likely to get you fined in France. So
Mate, that is out of all the bits of info that we've had on this channel, that's going to be my favorite.
there you go. So,
And we've had some good guests, but that,
so the reader
I'm driving
question,
flip-flops.
can you drive barefoot in France? Question mark. So the quick answer is yes, as long as you have not left your shoes or sandals in the footwell of the vehicle where they might get under the pedals. So Article R412-6 of the Code de la Route stipulates that every driver must always be able and in position to easily and without delay carry out all the manoeuvres which might be required. Not wearing shoes does not affect your control of the vehicle, but having a shoe slide under the pedals when you are braking will do so. And police and gendarmes are quick to find drivers where there is a chance of this happening. Wearing flip-flops or open sandals while driving is also likely to get you fined, as law officers are convinced that the risk that they might slip means you might lose control of the vehicle.
Oh,
Both, both are usually classified as Class 4 offences, meaning a fine of €135, reduced to 90 if paid early, but €375 if paid late, and the loss of at least 1 point on your driving licence. Boom. Who knew? Who knew?
I love it. That
I
is
said,
absolutely superb. Well
yeah,
done. I love that. That's absolutely, it's made my day. Because I'm going to go to work on Monday
yeah,
and give it large about flip-flops.
yeah, see? You should, yeah, just say, no, that's a Class 4 offence, didn't you?
In a Dagenham accent, didn't you?
Yeah. It's,
Didn't you?
oi, oi, you mug.
What you wearing flip-flop for, you mug? Never mind, we're
You're going to
supposed
fix his up.
no, never mind, we're supposed to wear safety boots. No, no, no.
Safety flip-flops. And the
Safety
old
boots.
YouTube videos, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, what were you going to say?
I was
Before I
just
read
going
it?
to say something else happened at work about the heat, which made me think a lot. And when they know it's going to be really, really hot, they shut and close all the windows. They do not open the windows.
Yes.
And it seems counterintuitive to people from England, where
Yeah.
normally you want a breeze or whatever coming through their
And
property.
everything. Yeah.
But I think that is the number one tip, actually.
Yeah.
If you go out in the morning and you know it's going to be 38, 40, whatever, leave all the windows shut
Yeah.
because it keeps the heat out and the lower temperatures in.
On the French website, Santé Publique France, SPF, they've got some, most are pretty much obvious uh, tips for staying cool. But the tips are to drink water regularly without waiting until you're thirsty. Um, take a cool shower, but not cold. Um, splash water on you, obviously, and use a fan. Eat little and often, and avoid alcohol. Scrub that one off.
Yeah. But
Don't go out at peak times, obviously. And then what you just said, shutters and windows closed all day, and then open them at night.
yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, I take Charlie out for a walk, and everybody's got their shutters shut. It looks like a ghost town. Everyone's, yeah. And we did it the other day when we was expecting the hailstones. Shut all the shutters, had the windows open inside, so didn't probably do it that well. But we did notice that it was actually a bit cooler.
yeah. And that's another thing as well. So in England, we don't have shutters, do we? Really,
No,
generally
no,
speaking. But shutters are pretty much a lifesaver. And you can open your windows at night and let the air in with the shutters shut. So it
yeah,
affords you protection, security, I guess. And
yeah,
then during the day, in the morning, all my friends, I was talking to them at work about this, asking them questions, and they say, well, we always put the shutters down before we leave.
yeah.
So it just stops the sunlight coming in and warming the rooms and stuff like that.
It just sort of makes sense, really, doesn't
Well, yeah. And there's a lot of the shutters here have little mini kind of solar panels in them,
it?
and they
Okay,
detect when the sun's on there and they automatically shut.
I didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah. So that stops the sun heating that particular room. And then when the sun's passed, then they open.
yeah. So there's a couple of other things on the SPF, the Santé Publique France list. It says about putting damp sheets in front of windows
Yep.
and ice bottles in front of fans. They're a big fan of fans. So they're saying that air conditioning units can raise your electricity bill by 15 to 25%. So I'm sure you've got plenty to say about that.
Well, air conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, what is there any more on the list? We'll go through that
That's
first.
it. No, that's it.
Right. So, air conditioning, I think it's more and more likely going to become necessary as the temperature I mean, this year is going to be mad, I think, just by looking at it. But there's different types of air conditioning that you can get, and in America they have it all over, don't they? There's
do,
everybody has it. It's not widely used here because it is quite energy hungry, and this we're going to get onto this, and I'm doing some videos on it at the moment about these portable solar panels you can buy.
yeah. Yep.
So in England, where we're from, these kits and stuff are not available because if you uh, feed anything back into the grid, it's completely not allowed in England
Mm.
unless you've had it certified and inspected by the a DNO or, well, let's call it the electric board.
Yeah.
That's what people will know,
Yeah.
National Grid or whatever. So in France and other European countries, you can output to the grid, no problems, up to a certain limit. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because the grid is bigger, it's better, and it's more stable. And they're quite able to absorb that, no problem, and use the electricity that you produce. Whereas in England, it's the opposite. It's at its limit, the grid. They really can't cope with any more additions to it. It's pretty much a breaking point.
Mm.
So over here, it's no problem. So you can buy these portable kits online, and plug them into a socket, and they take off your bill in effect, however much they produce from the sunlight. And that's all down to the linky meters that you've got, the green smart
Hmm.
meters. Nearly every house has got one.
Yeah, I
Not
think
not
so.
all, but nearly every. If you've
Oh,
got
sorry. Can I just ask a question? Are they mandatory to have?
no, is the answer, but
Okay.
uh, there are plans to make it mandatory.
Yeah.
But from a professional point of view, you'd be mad not to have it because
Yeah.
you can't feed back to the grid unless you've got one.
Right.
So if you bought a house and it's got the old meter in there and you wanted to buy one of these kits that fed back to the grid,
Mm.
you can't do it
Mm.
because, well, technically, I mean, you physically can do it, but technically you're not supposed to do it.
Mm.
And if they find out you're doing it, your meter reading goes backwards. Whereas with the
Mm.
new link is it stays where it is
Yeah.
and it just takes off your bill and doesn't add on. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway, so the perfect combination for summer would be some kind of air conditioning unit and buy one of these solar panel units outside because when it's sunny and you need it the most,
Yeah. Mm.
you can offset the power that this air conditioning unit uses by the panels that are outside.
Yeah.
A perfect example of that is this is on a bigger scale, but my house has got quite a large solar system. And on Sunday, I had my air conditioning in my bedroom running from 8 a.m. till about 9 p.m., something like that, the whole day.
Mhm.
So the room was complete, just kept at 19 degrees the whole day. So anytime I wanted a quick break, I could just go up there, sit down, have a cup of tea, or
Mm.
later on have a beer in the afternoon or whatever, just go on a laptop and it's 19 degrees. It refreshes you, and then you can go back out.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. And
And
it's all
that's all
free.
free.
It's all
Mm.
free
Yeah.
because of the panels. Now, I'm not saying that these plug-in kits will do the same thing, but very close to it. So it would offset it to way, well, like a small amount. You're talking maybe a couple of euros, €2 a day, something like that, to have it running during the day.
Yeah.
Because the hottest is when it's sunniest normally, and that's when it produces the most and offsets the most.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So the
Cool, mate.
actual, just
Um,
go on.
yeah. The word free is a bit of a misnomer, really, because
Of
I
course.
can the analogy to that is I remember going fishing off of Clacton Pier, and I caught two lovely big sea bass, good like 5 pounders, really really nice fish, and I thought I'm having them. Took them home, and Jane likes a bit of sea bass, filleted them, cooked them up, and she said, "Oh, that was really good. That was free food out of the ocean, free food." I said, "Well, strictly speaking." I've got about 1,500 quid's worth of kit. I
Yeah,
paid 30 quid for some
yeah,
worms to catch them.
yeah,
Probably spent 20 quid on diesel to get up there and back. It cost me eight quid to fish off of the
yeah,
pier.
yeah.
So, probably the most expensive sea bass you'll ever eat.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right to say that. But I've got a video coming up. I can't really say much to it, but I've just bought some parts off the internet for it now, and it's to put in a system similar but as cheaply as possible in my second house.
Brilliant.
So this might be quite interesting. And coming back to what you say, the system I've got in my house now, yeah, you're right. It's incredibly expensive because I bought the best of everything.
Mm.
And if there was an inverter that did the job, but there was one better, I'd buy the best one. So whatever
Yeah,
I could get the best of, money was no objective. You see what I mean?
yeah, no, I
But it
understand.
is so for the second house, it's possible to do it on a budget, and I'm going to see how low I can actually do it for.
How low can you go?
Yeah.
So, just thinking about what you said about the Linky. So, did that mean that when they designed the Linkies, which has got to be some time ago,
Yep.
um, did they see this coming and future-proof it, or is it? Would they do a software update on it to enable it to do it, or how would they future-proof it? And second part of that question
Mm,
is, if you're spending, like a vast amount of money on solar stuff now,
mm.
is it like when you bought a VHS uh, player years ago and spent 1,200 quid on a VHS player and you get one now for 30 quid? Well, actually, you can't get one now, but you know what I mean, don't you?
I know exactly what you mean. The price drops all the time, and does it get to the point where, if you'd have waited a bit longer, could you get it for cheaper? Well, yeah, probably. I mean, that happens to everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah. So
you've really got
I
to.
think what I'm saying is, can you future-proof your solar system now? Like, if you buy it now, can you future-proof it?
Right. It's a very good question, actually, and yes and no. So
Well, that's it then. Well, thanks very much for watching.
yeah, the main inverter and the electronics associated with charging batteries and inverting the electricity, so taking the power from the solar panels and injecting it, will remain the same technology for a long time.
Yeah.
So you could buy that stuff now, and it would still function and do the same thing as a future model, but might not have as many bells and whistles, but it will still do the same job.
Mm.
The panels are just continuing to get cheaper and cheaper. So you can buy a panel now for 60, 70 pounds in England,
Yeah. Yeah.
which will produce 450 watts, which is, you know, tiny amounts. And the batteries are becoming cheaper and cheaper as well if you wanted the batteries. So panels and batteries are always going to get cheaper, but they will hit a limit. I don't think we're far off that limit. So Um, if you bought batteries now, you'd be good for 10 years. Um, Life of panels on the roof, 20 to 25 years. Probably you still get 85 to 90%, something like that from the
Mm.
panels, which is pretty good. The inverter, as long as it's still working, you'll get 100% from it for as long as
Mm.
it still works. And I've actually got one in my second house, which you've seen in some of the videos. I bought that in 2015 and it was already 10 years old. So now that must be super ancient, super,
Mm.
super ancient old, 20 odd years old, I
Yeah.
reckon.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
Yeah. And it's still working and still does the job, and you can see it in my videos. So
Brilliant.
that side of things will always work.
So, going off at a tangent,
Yeah,
but
why
sort of,
not? Why not?
well, actually, it is very much related. Um, should China invade Taiwan and be
Wow.
successful in it, which I can't see, but they're not going to be successful in it. Um, that's going to change the world of electronics overnight.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
I think we'd only be guessing to find out how.
Mm.
Because I've got to be honest, we used to buy the company I work, we used to buy only French made
Mm.
panels locally, and they all got bought by Chinese companies.
Oh, really?
So they're all Chinese now.
Mm.
So it doesn't really exist to buy. homemade panels of such because it's just so cheap now, and there's
Mm.
no way you could fabricate it here or
Yeah,
in America. Just you
yeah,
just you need the scale of factories the size of cities, just churning them out constantly. I mean,
yeah. So I
there's
was
nothing.
reading that um, I think it was China was building a nuclear power station just to power an AI uh, you know super unit.
Doesn't surprise me. They are the world's biggest investor in renewable technology as well. They have more solar farms, solar production than anyone else,
Mm,
and they are leading the way in renewable energy. That's for certain. That's why we can get the panels so cheap.
mm,
Can you imagine? It's so cheap for us to ship them over here. How cheap it is just to make them next door in another department of China and
yeah,
install
yeah.
them.
Well, I mean, I bought a pair of trainers from Temu. It cost me €3, and they're all right. There's nothing wrong with them. Yeah, they're all right for knocking around the garden and that. But
Well,
yeah,
and there
amazing.
you go. I mean, they can
And
just
that's been shipped. What was it?
Yep.
10,000 miles got to be in it.
Yeah.
That's been shipped 10,000 miles to here and made, and
It,
and
it it sounds mad, doesn't it? It
say
sounds
again?
mad you can buy something that's been made in another country, ship it all the way halfway across the world.
Yeah,
It's still 50 times cheaper than what you can buy locally.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the way it goes, really. So who
So
knows?
yeah, so as I say, uh, the old cynic in me, right? Call me an old cynic,
Mm.
right? But I just thought it was all a bit convenient that Trump was able to bomb Iran and Iran to capitulate just before the NATO meeting, so we could go there and say, "Look what I've done. Give me your money."
Give me your money.
Yeah, I just thought it was a bit just just a little bit convenient.
To be honest, I don't really follow much anymore because every day is like that can't really be happening, can it? Oh yeah, it is. Oh,
Yeah, no,
it's
right.
just constantly like that all the time. And
Yeah,
I've got to
yeah,
the
yeah.
point where I'm like, oh no, I can't do this anymore. Does it affect me in my daily life anymore? No. Right.
Yeah,
So I've stopped listening to most of the radio and English radio and stuff because it's just constant. Donald Trump constant, or if it's not Donald Trump, it's some other nonsense. So I don't know. I think it's strange, but it's definitely unprecedented in our lifetime. America flying over Iran and dropping massive bombs on them. I
yeah,
mean, that is just crazy.
yeah.
You
I
think
remember
about,
flying over Iran on the way back from India, and you get the little map on the seat back, shows you where you are on the plane on it. And yeah, I thought, oh, Iran, that's interesting. Looked out, we might as well have been flying over the moon. I mean, you could drop bombs and that, you never know.
yeah, oh yeah, it's an immense country, isn't it? It's huge.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to say one more thing about air conditioning, and that
Yes.
is, do you know the mobile units with the pipe on the back that you send out the window?
Yep.
If you can avoid those, and the reason is they consume a lot, but they also, the pipe that comes out the back before it goes out the window is a radiator and it sends heat
What's it? Yeah,
to
it's
the
all
room.
hot air going through, isn't it?
Plus, you have to open the window, and we've just talked about the fact that if you open the window, it lets all the hot air in.
Mm,
So, and inevitably, some of the hot air that gets expelled gets blown back in, so it's even super hot air.
mm,
The best type to go for if you're going to go for a small one is like one that will fit in a window or a door or a monoblock, what's called a monoblock. So everything's in one unit, and you just have two pipes going out the outside, one to bring the cold air in and one to send the hot air out.
mm.
Far more efficient and don't cost as much to run. So that's your best bet. The ultimate obviously is like heat pump system, which in the winter can be used for heating and in the summer can be used for cooling.
Yeah,
But that's a lot more money.
yeah. We're as everyone knows, we're currently looking for a new house, and some of the properties that are on our shortlist have got, I think they call it reversible air
That's right.
conditioning. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that'd be nice.
Yeah, and
So,
it's super cheap to run. So the way they work is down to a certain temperature, maybe 5 degree, sorry, 0 to -5, or zero maximum probably. They actually put into the room 3.5 to 4 times more heat than the electric that they use.
hmm, it's amazing, really, isn't it? It's just
So to put that in perspective, if you had a two
physics
kilo,
don't really seem to make sense, do they?
no, no, no. So if you had a, well, let's say you had a 2 kilowatt heater in, it'd be like the equivalent of having four 2 kilowatt heaters in there for the same price,
Hmm,
and that would be roasting.
yeah. I remember when I was a kid, we had must have been five, I suppose, but we had one of those 3 bar fires,
Oh yeah,
uh, electric fires, and we'd all sit around it because I don't think there's any other heating in the house, and we'd all sit around it, and there was like a point where you'd be too close, where you set fire to yourself, and like 3 feet away, you couldn't feel it.
I've got s- I've got a story about that. It's not really relevant here. It's too much of a tangent. But anyway, yeah. So
Much of a change. Jeez.
there's massive tangent. But anyway, for a future episode, I think. Speaking of future episodes, I'm gonna have to mention this now.
Yes.
Next week we've got Hugh from Wouldn't It Be Nice? Now Hugh is probably one of our most supportive and oldest, not in the sense of he's really old, but the fan that we've had with longest for this
Yeah, definitely.
channel and our own channels,
Yeah.
and he always tries to be first on all our videos. So I thought he's got a channel himself, which if you watch my channel and yours, you'll probably know about. Wouldn't it be nice? And he makes stuff out of wood. Now is a massive disservice to what he does. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of one of the videos he did. Was which was my favorite video so far, is there's a tree, right, there's a film, um, an escape film with Morgan Freeman, and I forget the other, everyone always forget,
Tim, Tim,
Tim
what's it?
Robbins,
Tim
who,
Robbins, that's it.
who is actually Merlin in Top Gun. Did you know that?
Of
One of the
course he is. Yeah,
pilots.
yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so what's the film called?
Shawshank Redemption.
Exactly. It is the not probably the number one rated film on IMDb, Internet
Mm.
Movie Database. Anyway, at the end of that film, I don't want to spoil it. There is a tree that's growing out of the ground on a stone wall, and it's in a perfect picture scenario. And he's actually managed to get hold of some of the wood from that tree, and he's made a pen from the actual tree,
Yeah.
and that's his own personal pen. Can you believe it? I mean, that's the kind of stuff he does. So, anyway, he'll be on next week. So, I'm going to definitely mention that because I love that. That's brilliant. One of my favorite videos he's done.
I was just trying to think of any what would be the ultimate movie memorabilia.
Oof.
To say, isn't it? I suppose
Depends on your
the
genre.
door that was in the Titanic as Jack slips away into the icy depths.
Oh, that's nonsense, that film. Really. For me, it would be something like Indiana Jones's hat or
Oh yeah.
something like that, I guess. I'm
I
a
think
big
that
fan of
might be
or I like Don Simpson movies. So
okay. Yeah.
they're like Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Bad Boys, they're all Don Simpson movies.
Yeah.
Anything to do with those, I'll be happy with.
I think out of all the special effects and stuff that's in Indiana Jones, I think my favourite scene in the original one is where the guy pitches up with a massive great scimitar and he's flinging his scimitar around, and Indiana Jones just pulls out his gun and shoots him.
Do you know how that scene came about?
Didn't Harrison Ford have a flu or something?
Well,
Was
because they're
that?
all filming in like Egypt or somewhere like that, where it was. They've all
Hmm.
got Delhi belly.
Oh, that's
He
it.
couldn't he
Yeah,
couldn't do the fight scene, and neither could his stunt double because he had as well. So they just improvised and just shot the guy,
yeah,
which
that's
is
brilliant.
brilliant. And it's
Love
gone down in like cinema history.
it. Yeah. Actually, I was listening to an interview with an actor. I can't remember his name there, but it's one of those faces that you'd know. Anyway, he was talking about he did the first movie that he did with Christopher Walken, and he was nervous when he went to the set for the first day. And Christopher, I won't do the impression, but Christopher Walken, he comes on and says, "It's my birthday." I said, "Oh, brilliant!" So he organises like a birthday cake to be brought onto the set, and they'll sit around having a bit of cake. And anyway, the next day, the producer comes up to him and says, "Did Christopher Walken tell you that it was his birthday?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I want to bought him a cake." He said, "Yeah, does that on every set. First, first day on set, he likes a bit of birthday cake."
I love that. That's absolutely
Yeah.
oh, brilliant. I love that. Anyway, so getting back to France, or
Yes.
loosely related to France.
Yeah.
Any other tips? Uh, oh, uh, right. So keeping cool in the summer.
Yep.
Uh, try and use trees to sit under as opposed to a parasol. And the parasol captures the heat and keeps it there. If you
Mhm.
sit under a tree, it actually goes up through the leaves and you get
Of
air
course. Yeah,
circulation.
because the trees transpire, don't
And well, yeah, I guess, but I've tested it out. I've actually tested that. So here
they? I'm not surprised.
I've got a couple of trees here, really big ones, a walnut
Yep.
tree and a like a mapley thing, and I've also got a parasol and a table and chairs. So I sat under the
Mm,
parasol, table and chairs for the same amount of time, and I was pretty. By the end of it, I was pretty. It was warm.
mm,
I was sweating and it was really hot. So I switched to go in the same. I was still in the shade though, but then I got in the shade under the tree,
yeah.
all went away, and I was feeling really comfortable. So the
Mm,
big tip is to sit underneath a tree if you can, as opposed to a parasol.
brilliant. Right, that one. It's good.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought you
But,
liked that one.
yeah. So I've got a tree. I've got a big tree. I've got
Super.
a massive tree. Yeah.
And also, if you've got an electric car, don't forget you can always turn the air conditioning on before you get in the car, which is,
Very nice too.
oh yes, yeah.
Very nice too. That's what I call a first world problem, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, on that note, sometimes the app on the phone, you send the command to set the air conditioner off, and then you get to the car and it's not worked.
Oh,
And I get there, and oh my God, it's not worked, for God's sake. And then I just look at everyone else going to their car, and they're always like, whoo,
yeah.
because they've all got normal cars.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, okay. First world problems, eh?
That's
First
that.
world problems.
Yeah.
Because
But
normally,
my,
it's like stepping into a fridge, and you're like, okay, yeah, I can live with this. This is
remember when I was working, when I was working, when I was driving a BMW for a living, and a couple of times like in the summer, it'd be like, 30 degrees, whatever. I had the aircon down low and driving along thinking, God, I'm freezing. Bloody hell,
I'm freezing. Everyone else outside's like,
yeah. Yeah.
brilliant.
See, my favourite first world problem is I've heard someone saying that I'm having real trouble getting the pH right in the swimming pool.
Yeah. In fact,
First
that's
one.
it's something similar. Right. So I've got a friend or a neighbor of my mum's who's a good friend of mine, JF. He's in some of my videos. He's got a swimming pool
Yep.
and he heats it for about 1, 2 week, maybe 3 weeks at the beginning of the season and a few weeks at the end. But in the middle, his
Mm.
problem is it gets too hot because he's got a cover.
Yeah.
So he's a transparent cover it's that whole shelter that goes over there, and
Oh, I know what you mean.
he's struggling to keep the temperature down.
Right.
So it's the opposite in effect.
Mm. Yeah,
So
when
he's getting 32 to 34 degrees,
mm,
and he's sending me pictures of the temperature sensor and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah,
first one.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we've got a bubble cover that we float on ours. The biggest issue actually is water evaporation. So without a bubble cover on, I can lose um, probably a centimetre of water a day. So when you think that it's 11 meters by 4.5 meters, how much water that is,
a lot."
it's quite a substantial amount of water. So I have to keep topping it up. So uh, having the bubble cover on most of the day does help, and it does warm the water out. So the heat from the sun warms up the bubble cover, and which in turn um, warms the water up.
Yeah, because I remember when you got that before that, you were not struggling, but it was costing a lot more to heat it.
It
And then
was, yeah,
when you get the bubble cover on, it's like
yeah,
massive difference, isn't it?
yeah. It really is. I mean, that costs about €500, but I think I've easily made it up over the
Oh yeah.
years. But the only issue now is that Charlie wants to get in the pool every 2 minutes. So if I put the bubble cover on, he just jumps on top of it and pushes it out of the way. So I have to leave it off.
Bless him. Bless him.
Yeah.
So, what else we got on to look up?
No, that's it. I'm out of stuff. I need list there. Out of stuff there. So, but
This week there was, no, sorry, last week there was the Fête de Musique all over France. Did you hear about that?
music.
Fête de Musique.
No, I didn't know.
So last week all over France is the Fête de Musique, and lots of local villages and towns and stuff have lots of stuff going on to celebrate music,
Hmm.
basically. And in my local village, they have this like articulated truck that pulls up, drops the trailer off, and then the cab goes away, and then they open it, and it's a sound stage right in the middle of the village, and then everybody piles out about I don't know about 7 o'clock at night,
Mm-hmm.
and there's music until 2 o'clock in the morning. And
Brilliant.
and then that, the bigger the village, the more they put on and all that sort of stuff. But that's all
Hmm.
across France.
Okay. Must have worked.
Unfortunately, in Paris, it got out of hand and there was a few serious incidents actually. But
Yeah, give us a
in
pass.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's just like
I do
any
like to burn a car there, didn't I?
oh, they love it, yeah. But yeah, the Fête de Musique was all over the region, which was well, it's all over France, but it was certainly here. It was 2 or 3. It was very interesting.
Actually, yeah, I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday night. There was out at a tiki bar having a few drinks, and there was like the searchlights that you see in the doing it there.
Might be that.
Yeah, so could have been that.
I would think so. The day
Or
may vary, but yeah,
yeah,
it
or
was
I might have just been seeing things. I don't know because I
too much
did have a
absinthe.
I did have a couple of drinks, so I guess we'll say anyway.
So another thing as well, for just another tip in the summer is to get some of the to stop flies is to get some of the door blinds like you've got. And
Brilliant.
since I went to your house the first time, I've always been meaning to get them. I never did. But then this year, I thought, well, I'm going to make an effort. So I got a set for my front door, and the
Brilliant.
door in my pic you can see
Yep. I was open. Doors open.
goes open, and there's no flies in here whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
Normally, this time of year, they're all starting to gather.
I
And
drive
I'm
you mad,
like,
didn't
yeah, it's brilliant. So they're really cheap, but I think anyway, about 20 quid for a normal sized door, more for like a patio door and that.
Mm.
And down the middle is a magnet. And when you go through, it then comes together and seals up with a magnet, which is brilliant. And then it stops the
Quite
flies.
satisfying, isn't it, when they all when the magnets all click together?
Yeah, and there's no gap down the middle. You're like,
Quite
yeah,
satisfying to look at.
like that. But that is a really good tip to not have flies because I don't. Before I used to leave the windows open, but the flies would get in. But now I just leave the door open
Mm.
till right until I go to bed, really, because
Mm.
why not? It's the biggest area that you can open.
Mm.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Actually, I've noticed there's been a lot of lots of insects, I suppose. But yeah, some really big ones we get here. We get the big old beetles, and we get the odd stag beetle, but just generally everything's large here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's something I noticed coming from the UK to France. Everything's
Mm.
big.
Yeah,
Now I can only imagine what
bugs are
it's like
big bugs.
then going to the jungle and they're like 5, 10 times bigger.
Yeah,
No,
that's it.
not for me, that.
Yeah, well, tell you what, first time I saw a house centipede in France. That was down here, actually, in this house. Yeah, first time. So, if there's anybody still watching this, I don't know, well, they will be, but if there is, just pause it and Google house centipede in France. It's like something out of a horror movie. And it runs fast. It can
Oh,
run
those
fast.
little fast ones. Yeah. Well, they're not
It can
little,
run, yeah, it can run faster than you.
but they're actually supposed, they're not against you, they're for you.
No, no, exactly. No, they eat spiders and flies and everything that they can catch, which is
Yeah.
pretty much everything because they go so fast.
Oh my
So
God. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
long as we see them, as long as it's not in the bedroom, I tend to leave it alone.
Yeah, I would sometimes if I can catch it, which is rare, I'll throw it outside, but it's normally gone by the time I can get to it.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, I got up the other morning and there was one. It was must have been at 6:30 in the morning. I was in the bathroom, brushed my teeth, and I'm just like, oh, got to go to work. And I looked over, and there's one on the window ledge, and my window ledge is about eye height, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, "Oh, what was that?" And then it straight off, and I was like, oh my God, I don't need that at 6:30.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
So you've been starting work at 5 now, eh?
No, not me. No,
Or just engineers out the just
the
people that do the real work, you mean?
yeah, the guys that fit the panels. I come afterwards and do the other stuff, but I don't fit the panels now.
Yeah,
So my skills lay elsewhere, I guess,
obviously.
obviously.
Brilliant. Mhm.
No, but they've all started so early because it is so hot, and they're on the roof all the time.
Mm.
Currently, they're on the roof of the local Super U Express,
Mhm.
putting I think it's 100 panels on there.
Yeah,
So
well,
well, it doesn't take them that long, to be honest.
no, I mean, it's not their first rodeo, is it?
No, no, and we're used to doing systems up to 500 kilowatts, which is half a megawatt, which is huge, and they can knock them out in about a couple of weeks.
Mm.
So they're really good at what they do.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see your video that you was talking about earlier about being able to. Did you mention this, or was that when
Was
we
that?
was talking? The cheap one.
Oh yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah, I said that, yeah.
You mentioned. I couldn't remember whether we'd been talking privately or.
No, no, no. Yeah, no, it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I was at work today, and so there's all the technicians in the office. There's three of us. Well, there was three of us today, all talking, and they all it's no different in France as it is to England. They all like to talk about the products and stuff and
Mm.
kind of stuff. So I said, look, I found this, the make, and it's 169 euros for the inverter. And they were like, that's crazy. That price is, and when I looked on all the other sites, it's 400 euros.
Mm.
So I bought one and it's on the way. So if it comes and it's good for that price, then I found some cheap solar panels that you can buy online as well.
Mm.
And the only other things you're going to need after that are just like the RCDs to go in the fuse box and some cable and Bob's your uncle.
Obviously,
Really.
right.
But it's
Good.
more designed towards heating the hot water for free. So
Mm.
anyway, wait for the video, and I'm sure everyone will
Yeah.
find out interesting.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. All right, shall we wrap it up there?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right. So glasses off. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. The time just whizzes by as usual. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. That'll be great. That'll help. And press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content. And maybe share it on your socials. And maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. So all that leaves to say is goodbye from me.
Let's go back from him.
Bye.